talking about word problem roulette, and this is something that I talked to my cooperating teacher about in the field to see if she had heard of it, and found out that there's actually many names for this. So there's a possibility that you guys have done this before, but I don't know. I've never done it before. I've never seen it before this. So how it all works is you would either split the students up, or you can let them select their own groups. That would just depend on the classroom, how you feel about that class. You want to do groups no larger than 4, and that means you just decide how many people you have total and see how many even groups you can make. The first step, once you've given the students a word problem, is you're going to have the students discuss the word problem amongst each other, and just how they think they're going to go about to solve that problem, what kind of process they're going to use. And then once they've come up with that process, then on a piece of paper, they'll silently, the first person will do the first step of the problem, and then pass it to the second person. Once the second person has it, they will check the first person's work and make sure they agree with that, move on to the second step. Once they've done their second step, then they will pass it to the third person. The third person will check their work, just like the second person did to the first person. And then the paper will just keep going in the circle until the problem is completed. Now, I didn't always see it, but I think it'd be really smart to have the groups afterwards then describe the specific steps that they took, the ones that they wrote down, to give the whole group a rationale, so that way you can kind of re-see the information again before it's gone. My objective would be given a word problem, a blank word problem roulette graphic organizer, and a group no larger than 4 students. The 9th grade geometry students will discuss how to solve the problem, silently fill out the word problem roulette graphic organizer with the correct steps in order, and discuss their results. So a little bit about this method. The method requires the students to discuss the math problem both verbally amongst each other without showing any pictures or drawings, but then it also requires them to do it on paper. So they're kind of getting a little bit of differentiation there. And that differentiation is what helps them to retain and comprehend the information, because they're seeing it in multiple different ways. So it just gives them multiple ways to remember it, multiple ways to recall that information. So it helps all kinds of different learners. And it allows students to come up with their own method. So it requires them to use critical thinking skills to come up with their own way of solving the problem. And being in math, there's all kinds of ways to solve almost any problem you have. So this kind of allows them to explore different options. And in that sense, kind of makes it a student-led lesson. So I do have a little problem here. So there's different ways you could write it. Since you have, so we'll say 3 students, you could do like student 1, student 2, student 3, and then go back, reorder it again. Or you could just do first step, second step, third step, and just do it in different colors so you can tell who's who. So first step, I look at this problem. I think before I start writing down my steps, think, okay, how am I going to solve this? So read the problem. The length of a rectangle is 8 meters. The area of this rectangle is 24 square meters. What is the width, W, of this rectangle? So once I know that, I think, okay, well, I have a formula, so that means I'm probably going to plug stuff in there. I have an area, 24, and I have one of the lengths or widths, so I can just plug those things in. So the first person, they would just write down the formula. Area equals length times width. And the second person would go in, and they could, depending on how much they want to do, they could either fill in one of these, or they could fill in all of them. So let's say they're a little advanced and they decide, okay, I know what's going on here. So they know the area is 24. I'll fill it in. And then they're given a length, so that's L. And then they don't have W. So then they would stop there. And once you get to the next person, then okay, check this step. What do they got? Okay, so I'm going to do 24. And then you got to divide both sides by 8. So that'd be their step. And the fourth person would just finish the equation. These over here cancel out. 24 divided by 8 is 3. So W equals. That's kind of a shorter example. There's obviously problems that have a lot more steps than that. And even with that, you could have made that more steps just by kind of dragging it out, I guess. If you only wanted to fill in, say, only the area first, and then go back and have the next person fill in the length, that's also a possibility. And that's how, since the students are able to approach it with using their own method, it gives them freedom to do it how they'd like. So we do, I like it if I get out a little piece of paper, and we're just going to write down 1, 2, 3, go down the list and write out our steps for this problem. So we'll start off by thinking, how are we going to approach this? So does anybody have any suggestions for like how you might approach starting this?
We can start the same way you did that one, write down the formula.
Yeah, perfect. You know that you're given a formula, so you already have that. That's good. And you're already given some numbers. So you can just kind of approach it the same way. So we kind of know, we already have our approach because we did a problem just like this. So start number one. And since number one, I'll go ahead and write down the formula. So what would be my number two step? What would I want to do here? Yeah, so what am I plugging in for A?
On 130.
And then we can go ahead and plug in the other one as well if we want to. So don't have W, so L's 15. And how about after that?
10.
What's the
Skip a lot, Taylor. Divide out to 13.
Sounds good. So then we get to our fourth step, fourth person, just like in the last problem. So just finish the problem off. Divide this, W is going to equal 10. So, starting right here, you count off 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
No, she's 3.
It doesn't matter.
Wait, what?